Okay, what I'm in the middle of doing is I'm replacing what's called the control shaft seal on this Torqueflite automatic. And you're looking at this upside down. The pan is here, normally would be, but I have this laid on my work table, so I'm doing this upside down so that I do not have junk potentially falling down in the transmission. And you want to do this replacement with it out, hopefully. I've done a couple of these with them in the car. Well, one I think with it in the car, and it's not easy. So if you ever have one of these Torqueflites out and you're going to replace the transmission, or you're going to do something to it, put a converter in it, or whatever you're doing to it, anytime you have this thing out and you haven't replaced this thing, you need to replace it, because it can leak and drive you crazy. You'll think you got a pan leak, and you don't have a pan leak. You have this thing leaking. These Torqueflites only have a few places they can really leak, and that's one of them. And what you have to do, normally you have a couple levers on here. You can look at a picture of one that's assembled in order from the seal outward. You have the selector control, which is this guy here. It just fits up on here, and that's what rotates to give you your gears. When you move the transmission, you can shift the lever. And then at the outside end of it, you have this guy here, which is the throttle rod connector that goes into the pressure valve, which is right there. If I were to move that, you could see that thing move. That's the end of the throttle pressure valve right there. That's what controls your shift timing and your shift feel and things like that. It takes the place of a modulator valve on transmissions that have modulators. This one does not. So anyway, this thing is not too hard to get out. You just need to kind of be careful doing it. You have to take, what I do is I go up, it's drove up in here, and I just start with a little small screwdriver, and I just kind of go straight up and take my hammer and just start tapping. And then I get it up in there a little ways, and I start trying to pry, and eventually you'll deform enough that it'll start prying out. Now, when it comes down, you just simply work it downward, and it comes off like that. You see how it kind of got deformed a little, but it's just a common type of lip seal, I guess you would call this. And this one looks pretty good, but it's probably the original, and I'm not taking a chance on that. I think those are like $3 and something from the parts store. And I think the same one fits a 727 and a 904 and a 998 and a 999, so should be common and easy to find in your location. So that's where this guy goes right there. And you may notice there's just a little bit of a mark on that outside perimeter right here. So you try not to do that. If you have to pry on this thing, if you have to pry on it, and you will, unless you want to go from the inside, which means you take all this stuff out. I don't do that, but if you want to do that, you can. But when you pry on this thing, you need to pry on the case side of it, which means this outside edge of it, instead of trying to pry against. You don't want to pry against the rubber anyway. That doesn't do you any good. So you just go back in and clean this thing out good. Make sure there's no dirt, debris. Like I said, this transmission is like all of them this old. It's got had a lot of dirt on it and stuff, and you just don't want that falling down in there. So I do it with it upside down. And then you're going to simply come back with your new seal and put just a little bit of transmission fluid on the lip here so it's not dry, and just go up with it. And you're going to take a 15/16 socket and come up, and you're just going to get it up to where it goes, and you're just going to tap it in with your hammer in that socket and just get it where it's flush with the edge right there. It's not, above it. And what I would do when you put this thing in is I would do what I'm going to do, and I'm going to take just a little dab of silicone sealer and go around the outside of this, which means right here. So that will kind of help. If I've made a little bit of a mark in there with my screwdriver working that thing out, then that will keep that from leaking potentially. It probably won't anyway, but we just want to make sure of that. So anyway, that's a pretty common thing to do on these. Really pretty simple, and it just goes back the way you took it out. All those levers. Remember the Prindle, PRND 2L, whatever you got there, that goes down first on here, and then the second one, your pressure lever, goes on the outside. And that's how you do that. That's how you replace. This is called the I think this is called the control shaft seal on here. So just make sure anytime you have your Torqueflite out, if you're doing something to it, putting a shift kit in it or whatever case may be, unless you know that you're just now had it rebuilt and put a new one in it, just go ahead and replace that thing. So I'm going to do that now. So there you go. Got any questions, feel free to ask. If there's something I haven't shown you clear enough, don't bitch at me for it, just ask me and I can do my best to explain it for you. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one. Rate, comment, subscribe.